John Lee attends another policy address district forum to listen to public views. The environment chief says Japan should do more regarding radioactivity tests of water released from the Fukushima plant. And in the U.S. state of Florida, a white man fatally shoots 3 black people before killing himself. Good evening and welcome to TVB News. Chief Executive John Lee today attended the second session of the 2023 Policy Address District Forum. He said he will increase his visits to the districts to listen to suggestions from the public. As Timothy Lee reports, he also vowed to double the government's effort to assist Hong Kong's nighttime economy and stock market.
Today, Chief Executive John Lee listened to a crowd of about 120 people from all walks of life during the second 2023 Policy Address District Forum held at Sha Tin Government Secondary School. Many attendees said they are concerned about how the government is striking a balance between attracting non-local talents and retaining the city's very own. This man said there are still many talented individuals in the SAR in the aviation industry and asked whether the authorities should focus on keeping them here. This woman suggested setting up funds to prevent local talent from leaving. Lee stressed that imported workers and talent should be used to solve short-term issues and that the local labor force will always be prioritized. Regarding the city's status as a global financial hub, the chief executive said a new task force will also be set up to improve the liquidity of the stock market.
I have heard a lot of opinions about the importance of ensuring liquidity of our stock market. That is why the government has decided to set up this task force to be led by the financial secretary. And I also want the task force to start working very quickly so that they give me recommendations so as to increase the liquidity of our stock market to strengthen our competitiveness.
On the community's concerns about the economy's post-pandemic recovery, the CE reiterated the need to boost the city's nighttime economy. Lee added that organizers need to take the initiative to hold a series of nighttime events during important holidays such as Mid-Autumn Festival and National Day. Meanwhile, the CE also spoke about the recent controversy over a massive farewell party for a government district officer.
What I would like to build as a consensus is I wish organizers to understand that the participation of a senior government officials at a function is strong indication of our support to the activities and the strong desire to build a good dialogue and relationship. Participation of government officials, no matter how big the number is already an indication of support. So number doesn't matter.
Timothy Lee, TVB News.
Latest laboratory results from Japan show the tritium levels of treated wastewater released from the crippled Fukushima nuclear power plant are below regulatory limits. Here in Hong Kong, authorities say Japan should do more than just making public tritium levels of the water. On Thursday, Japan started releasing treated wastewater from the wrecked Fukushima plant into the Pacific Ocean. Hong Kong has since banned all aquatic product imports from Tokyo metropolis and 9 Japanese prefectures. Tests will also be done on all aquatic products imported from other regions in Japan, and so far they have passed radioactivity tests. Japan's Ministry of the Environment will publish test results showing the concentration of tritium in the discharged water every week for at least the next 3 months. Speaking to TVB News, the city's environment chief thinks more should be done.
Although it's radioactive contaminated water, it consists of tens of radioactive substances. Well, tritium is only one of them, yeah. And therefore, while focusing only on tritium, of course, is not sufficient. Yeah, I think on the monitoring part, I think Japanese government should publish the measurement results of all those radioactive substances. Measurement is only one part. Well, our concern more is on how the system can ensure the proper operation of the treatment system, as well as what if anything happens, how or are the contingency plans to protect food safety and also health of people.
Speaking on another occasion, the chief executive agreed, adding that the administration needs to focus on the long-term risks of the water discharge plan.
We have to ensure that for a system which will run for such a long period, the reliability of the equipment, the maintenance of the system, and the possibility of a human error in an exercise that will last for over 30 years. That is why we have to take stern and serious measures.
He added residents should be able to dine in a restaurant or buy food at a market feeling safe. There were reports quoting sources as saying the city's National Security Police have an action plan for the arrest of the creator of the Pillar of Shame, Jens Galschot. The Danish artist has written to Hong Kong authorities asking if the report is accurate. Secretary for Security Chris Tang said today he will not comment on the case. Still, he said if Thief asked if he or she is wanted or will be arrested, one shouldn't expect the question to be answered. In May, National Security Police took away the Pillar of Shame as evidence in relation to a case of inciting subversion. Meanwhile, Tang also slammed the United States for demonizing National Security Police action as they questioned family members of 8 wanted activists who had allegedly violated the national security law. That's after the U.S. called the police action harassment. Elsewhere, 9 people were killed in southern India when a stationary train car caught fire after a gas explosion. These pictures show the intensity of the blaze. It happened early in the morning and the fire burned for 2 hours before it was put out. When the sun came up, the damage to the train was clear. It started in a private compartment on a carriage which was detached and parked on the tracks in Madurai station. Over 50 people had to be rescued by smashing windows. 20 were injured and taken to hospital. Accidents are common on India's rail network, which is used by 22 million people daily.
Today morning when they tried to make coffee for them, when they lighted the stove, there was a blast of the cylinder, it seems. And due to this, there was a casualty. And others were rescued. Some 55 people were rescued. And as of now, we have retrieved 9 bodies from inside the coach. And among them, it is 5 male and 3 female, and 1 we could not identify the body.
In the U.S. state of Florida, a masked white man fatally shot 3 black people in a Dollar General discount store before killing himself. The violence happened on Saturday in a predominantly African-American neighborhood in the city of Jacksonville. The incident took to 469, the number of people killed in mass shootings in the U.S. so far in 2023. Another shooting spree took place in Boston, where 7 people were wounded. Nasvi Kareem has more.
He sent a text to his dad telling him to check the computer. By the time the father called 911, the shooting had begun. Within minutes, 3 black people and his son were dead. Police say the killings were racially motivated. The shooter was described as a white man who hated black people. He was wearing a bullet-resistant vest and mask and armed with a Glock handgun and an AR-15 style semi-automatic rifle with a Nazi swastika drawn on one of them. He killed 2 men and a woman inside a Dollar General discount store in Jacksonville, Florida, before killing himself.
This is a dark day in Jacksonville's history. Any loss of life is tragic, but the hate that motivated the shooter's killing spree adds an additional layer of heartbreak. There's no place for hate in our community, and this is not Jacksonville.
The identities of the shooter and the victims have yet to be released. Police say the shooter acted alone, and he had sent his racist manifesto to the media, his parents, and law enforcement before his killing spree. The case is classified as a hate crime, and US President Joe Biden, as well as District Attorney Merrick Garland, have been briefed. It is believed the shooter chose August 26th because it's the 5th anniversary of the Jacksonville video game shooting that left 2 black people dead, also a racially motivated attack. He had earlier ventured into the Edward Waters University, a historically black college, where he donned the vest and mask. He left when confronted by a guard. It is not known if the university was the shooter's original target. Florida Governor and Republican presidential hopeful Ron DeSantis condemned the killings, calling the shooter a scumbag and saying he took the coward's way out by killing himself. In Boston, 7 people were wounded near a parade celebrating the annual Caribbean Festival of Jouvert. 2 people were arrested and multiple weapons recovered in Dorchester. Reports say the victims' injuries are not life-threatening and that the shootings were not related to the parade. Nazri Karim, TVB News.
60 years after Martin Luther King Jr. led a massive march to the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, thousands retraced his steps Saturday, picking up his mission while vowing to take on new challenges. More in this report from NBC News.
A sea of people from across the nation at the monument to President Lincoln to take in a call to action.
Let's not give up. Let's not give in. Let's not give out.
This gathering, the 60th anniversary of the original March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. delivering his dream of peace, justice, and equality, demanding civil rights for all.
What will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation.
Organizers of today's event embracing Dr. King's charge and adding a new generation of issues, the fight to stop violence against minority groups.
We cannot allow the dark forces of extremism, intolerance, and hate to corrupt us and make us cynical.
The fight for voting rights.
It's really important for us to mobilize and understand the importance of the moment and also come together in solidarity for action.
Sally Levin of Maryland was here in 1963.
I'm about to turn 81, and I don't think things have changed the way they should have. And I need to help make that change.
Change Dr. King's 15-year-old granddaughter believes her generation can lead.
My generation will be defined by action, not apathy.
The day ending with this march to the MLK Memorial, literal forward movement carrying this renewed energy into the future.
In Sudan, fighting continues between the army and rival paramilitary force, turning the capital Khartoum and other urban areas into battlefields. Flames and black smoke could be seen rising over Khartoum from near the airport on Saturday. The North African country has been in chaos since April 15th, with the Sudanese army fighting the Rapid Support Forces, or RSF, for control of Khartoum and other cities. The fighting between Army General Abdel Fattah Burhan and the RSF led by Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo is estimated to have killed at least 4,000 people. More than 4.3 million people have been displaced, while over 1 million have crossed into neighboring countries. Still to come on tonight's news. 3 U.S. Marines killed in a plane crash during a military exercise in northern Australia. In Romania, deadly explosions at an LPG station. And locally, HKE toll implemented at the Eastern Harbour Crossing. Welcome back to TVB News. 3 U.S. Marines died when a military plane crashed during a training exercise in northern Australia. Dozens of others were injured, some critically. David Garrett reports.
Helicopters scrambled to pick up the injured from the remote crash site in northern Australia. Details of what happened are still emerging. The incident occurred at just before 9 a.m. local time on the uninhabited Melville Island, part of the Tiwi archipelago on the northern tip of central Australia. A V-22 Osprey aircraft of the US Marine Corps crashed. Australia's Prime Minister was quick to issue a statement.
Defence have confirmed that an aircraft incident occurred on that island earlier today. The aircraft was involved, a US aircraft was involved in Exercise Predators Run 2023. The initial reports suggest that the incident involves just US Defence Force personnel, that there are no members of the Australian Defence Force involved in this incident.
The worst of the injured were flown to Royal Darwin Hospital about 100 kilometres south of Melville Island. Medics waited on the ground to receive the casualties. Others were treated at the scene.
What I can say is that there was 23 people on board that aircraft, and we are working to get them across to Royal Darwin Hospital to give them the care that they need. As you can ascertain from one person already being in theatre, some people are critically injured, and so we're focused on making sure that they get that level of care that they need.
The 23 US soldiers on board were part of the Predators Run exercise involving over 2,000 military personnel from the US, Australia, Indonesia, the Philippines and East Timor.
A regrettable incident. I'm unable to give further information at this time. We do follow protocols at a time like this, and the Australian Defence Force are cooperating with our friends in the United States Defence Force to make sure that we provide every assistance possible.
Injured Americans are still in intensive care as the investigation into the cause of the tragedy continues. David Garrett, TVB News.
In Romania, at least 2 explosions at a liquefied petroleum gas station have left 1 person dead and more than 50 others injured. After the first explosion in the town of Crăvidea, 30 kilometers north of Bucharest, fire spread to 2 tanks and a nearby house. A second explosion in the evening injured 26 firefighters. Residents within 700 meters of the fire were evacuated, while traffic on the national road was blocked. At least 8 people were intubated after suffering severe burns. Romanian Prime Minister Marcel Ciolacu told reporters that 4 of the patients will more than certainly be transferred to hospitals in Italy and Belgium. North Korea said today it would allow its citizens who are abroad due to strict border restrictions during the pandemic to return home. Pyongyang said those returning to North Korea would be put in quarantine for a week. Students, workers and others who have been abroad, mostly in China and Russia, are expected to return. North Korea banned tourists, told diplomats to leave, and severely curtailed border traffic and trade during the pandemic. On Tuesday, a North Korean commercial jet landed in Beijing, the first known international flight in about 3.5 years. Back locally, the HKE toll service was implemented at 5 this morning at the Eastern Harbour Crossing. The Transport Department noted more than 30,000 vehicles passed through the tunnel as of 4:30 in the afternoon, with 90% of them having installed the tag. The Eastern Harbour Crossing is the last of the city's 3 cross-harbour tunnels to use the free-flow tolling service. Under the new system, the number of traffic lanes for Hong Kong-bound vehicles near the tunnel entrance has been reduced to 4. And for Kowloon-bound traffic, 3 lanes near the tunnel entrance. The government will announce plans later this year for implementation of the HKE toll at Tay Can Tunnel and Aberdeen Tunnel. Authorities are investigating cases of men losing items at some bars in Wan Chai after chatting with women. The thefts are suspected to involve the triads. Police have received several reports of people losing property, including credit cards, after interacting with non-local women at the bars. Authorities said the incidents took place at 4 bars on Jaffe Road and Lockhart Road. 23 people have been arrested so far, including 10 bar employees. The suspects are linked to 5 other cases of thefts and scams that involve more than $300,000. A dolphin was found dead near the Central Ferry Piers. Police received a report at around 8 a.m. today. That's after residents spotted the 1-meter-long carcass of a dolphin between Central Ferry Piers number 5 and 6. Marine police arrived on the scene to recover the carcass. It also drew attention from some members of the public. The corpse was brought to the nearby Star Ferry Pier and then passed over to staff members of Ocean Park to follow up. Sources say the dolphin was of the finless porpoise species. And that's the news. Thanks for watching.